With the Poco M3 Pro having just come out with an updated screen, battery and design, I thought it best to look back at this, the Poco M3, to gauge its viability in 2021 and ultimately to give my verdict on whether you should buy it or not. So then, as always, thanks to a wonderful Damien Wilde for providing this unit, I'm going to check out the Poco M3 in 2021. Straight away we have to talk about the pricing because it's the M3's biggest trait. It's £180, which gets you a phone that is technically half the price of the already pretty cheap Pixel 4a. Now sure, you're not going to quite get the grunt or the camera performance of the Pixel 4a, but that isn't to say you're not getting a lot of smartphone for your money, because you definitely are. The Poco M3 has this really cool texture on the back. It's almost a faux leather, but obviously plastic, and it feels very good in the hand. The edges are shaped strangely, which gives you more of a grip on the device without a case too, and the overall design is pretty unique, though it does remind me of the Nexus 6P with its rear visor at the top, even if it is plastic instead of glass this time around. The fingerprint scanner and buttons on the sides are accurate and tactile, and while you don't get an IP rating with this one, I can forgive that as this is a pretty cheap phone anyway, and a lot of its contemporaries don't have IP ratings either. The 6.53 inch 1080p IPS display is well up to the standard for this price. It's big, it gets relatively bright and has some solid viewing angles thanks to its LCD based panel. I'm grateful for the flat glass too. It makes watching TV and playing video games a lot easier, and sure, it's only 60Hz, which might turn some people off, but it's all you really need, and a lot of smartphones that I use, I tend to switch their displays to 60Hz to preserve battery life. The decidedly mid-range Snapdragon 662 and 4 to 6 gigs of RAM is something you can actually feel when coming from something faster. There are more hangs, a little bit more lag in the menus and games and stuff like that. It doesn't feel quite as seamless as a higher end smartphone, which is something you should probably expect spending £180 on a brand new device. So make sure that you're not a heavy user buying one of these things, but at the same time it doesn't make it completely unusable, and if you're used to sort of a lower end smartphone, then this will suit you down to the ground. I actually think that the 6000 mAh battery more than makes up for the performance woes. I mean, it is huge and it lasted me 2 to 3 days on a charge. That is just insane. It's amazing. The fast charging is pretty decent too. It's not the fastest in the world, but it's still pretty good, although it is kind of a large battery, so you've got to wait a little bit longer. 6000 mAh to be precise. I mean, that is just incredible. The software is one of Xiaomi's weakest points when it comes to perceived quality from the consumer. It's a little bit bubbly and it doesn't get updated super well across loads of devices. It's really not the best UI out there, but I happen to quite like it. I do think ColorOS has come on further in the same time frame, but MIUI isn't a bad skin whatsoever. What you do need to know though is it's Android 10, which isn't the latest and greatest, and it's unlikely to get lots of software updates going into the future, but if you're happy with that, then that's fine. There might be 4 cameras on the Poco M3, but there are only 2 that you actually need to know about, and that's the 48 megapixel main on the back and the 8 megapixel selfie camera on the front. The extras are pure fluff and aren't worth talking about at all. Naturally, you're lacking some versatility without the other focal lengths on here. Quality wise, you're still getting a decent camera capable of capturing good images as long as the light is good, but if you're in a darker area at all, there tends to be a lot of denoising, which results in watercolor-like photos. The more computational photography heavy modes like portrait mode and night modes are particularly weak, which makes a lot of sense given the price of the device, and I don't think it's game changing, but it's definitely something to consider if you take a lot of photos on your phone. Overall, a little soft from both front and rear cameras, but give it plenty of light and it'll do the job nicely. Which kind of brings me on to the conclusion. The Poco M3 is not meant to blow you away in any regard, although in battery life I do feel it does that. Overall, it's meant to be a device that gets the job done. It's something that you can depend on day to day to browse social media, maybe call, text, answer emails, that kind of thing. It's not meant to take loads of amazing photos or game for hours on end. It's just not one of those devices. And for £180, I think it's a really, really good buy. Since it's brand new, you're likely to get a warranty or maybe even get it on contract if those are available in your region. Either way, it's a really, really good device for the money. Could you get away with going for a Pixel 4a, spending double the amount and getting double the amount of phone? I don't think it is double the amount of phone. However, you're going to value it more if you prefer the cameras or you want stock Android. It really comes down to what you value personally. However, objectively, I think you're getting a lot of smartphone for your money, and it's why I recommend the Poco M3 to anyone on a tight budget. And that concludes today's video, guys. Please do like, comment, and subscribe, all that stuff. I'll leave all my links in the video description, including the ones to Damien Wilde's channel. He is the guy who has provided a lot of smartphones for the channel recently, including the Poco M3. So go and give him some love on his YouTube channel. He's uploading more recently anyway. And with that, I've been Ryan Thomas. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Peace.